There was once a time, like in the early 10s, maybe even in the 2000s as well, where Hollywood was obsessed with these movies that ended with a crazy twist. The crazier the twist, the better the movie is probably what they believed. And I don't know how, but they found a way to twist in the wrong direction. Recently, I rewatched the Book of Eli, and no lie, it was an intense movie with a crazy twist, but this twist wasn't twisting. Okay, so the Book of Eli is this movie where we follow this character Eli, played by Denzel Washington. See, in the movie, Eli has one mission, and that mission is to go west. So we follow Eli as he does his action movie thing, like encountering groups of marauders and other problematic people and just eliminating them as a threat. In the movie, we see Eli get into more and more challenging situations, but he always finds a way to keep going west. Cool. Here's the problem though. At the end of the movie, it's revealed that Eli is blind, but there's no way he couldn't see. And seeing as how I was rewatching this movie, I went in with that information and they almost got me. When you first start watching the movie, Denzel does a great job of fooling the audience. See, if you aren't watching close enough, you'd never notice that Eli has the mannerisms of a person who can't see. So you'd easily be led into believing that he's just a guy walking around in this barren wasteland. In an early scene in the movie, Eli comes across a vehicle. The weird thing about how he approached the vehicle is he didn't walk straight up to the vehicle. He followed his path, and when he was close to the car, he turned to face it. Theories I found online state that he did that because he didn't know the car was there until he came up close. Why? Because he can't see. But he did hear it. The way the wind hit the car made a noise that Eli could identify. Even the way he went through the car was weird. Denzel put up a masterclass of confusion because if you didn't know that Eli is blind, you just think he's looking around the car. And if you knew he was blind, then Eli feeling his way around and him not even noticing the skeleton makes sense. In the next scene, Denzel's masterful performance continues. He makes his way to an abandoned house and still does an amazing job where he looks super blind. He busts into a house and walks in, which looks normal, but he didn't look around. A person that can see would have scanned every angle with their eyes, to see if there's any danger. He makes his way to another room in the house, and as he opens the door and the door falls, he's scared by the noise. He still does a great job seeming blind. Right in front of him is a body hanging, and if it weren't for the smell, he would have never known that the body was right there. He spends the night in the house, and the next day, when the sunlight hits his face, he wakes up abruptly, and this is the last time Eli being blind in this movie is believable to me. Cool. See, one thing I didn't mention is the reason why Eli doesn't seem blind to me is because he always faces the direction where the noise is coming from. That's not really a big deal. The big deal for me is Eli always faces exactly where the noise comes from, almost like he's looking at it. After Eli leaves the house, he makes his way west and he encounters a woman that's stuck on the side of the road. Eli correctly deduces that, hey, something is sus about this whole encounter, and because of his heightened sense of smell, he easily identifies that him and this woman aren't alone. So he calls out these people. These individuals are the marauders I mentioned earlier, by the way. Marauders. So this very scene is the first place where I noticed Eli could see. When Eli is spoken to, he not only faces the person who's conversating with him, but his eye line always also matches where people's faces are. And I know you don't believe me because he's wearing glasses, but you'll see my proof later. So the goons try mugging Eli, but he takes them out. What I find interesting about this scene is when the goons and Eli were talking, they had their convo in the daylight. But when the action was about to kick off, Eli stepped into the shady area where visibility wasn't really visible. Nice try. You could make the argument that Eli stepped into the shade for an advantage, but he can also see. Them fighting in the dark helps no one, but that only counts if you still think he is blind. But if you do think he's blind, why would he immediately do this after the fight? Look at where Eli's eye line is, face to face. Remember what I said about Eli looking people dead in the eye? In the next scene, Eli does something I find funny. On his journey, he ends up at this ledge on a broken bridge. When he gets there, he hears people walking below him. The thing I find funny is, in an attempt to not be seen, he knows to duck, but he continuously sways from side to side in a manner that makes him visible. Like if one of those marauders had the idea to look up, they'd be like, what the F is Eli, that black guy up there doing? Eli then makes it to this weird small town and he interacts with this merchant. What I want you to look at in this encounter is where Eli's eyes look. In the next scene, Eli ends up at a bar and has a nice convo with the barkeep. Again, watch his eyes. There are countless more scenes I could show you throughout the movie where we see Eli see. We can watch him not be blind, but here's the thing. I think that the twist at the end of the movie was amazing. Like we watch Eli do the impossible throughout the movie, and if you saw this when it first came out, and at the end of the movie you find out that Eli was blind the whole time while doing all of this, it would have been amazing. But the problem is that there are so many scenes where we just saw him see. I think the big part of that is because the actor who played Eli can actually see, and when he faces people, he just naturally looks at who he's talking to. Whenever he traverses the world, he moves how a visually able person would because he can see and he only exhibits the mannerisms of a blind person to keep up the facade. But he doesn't do that well because he can see. I also think the director might have let us believe that Eli could see the whole time just to make the twist at the end hit harder. That's probably also why he sprinkled in a couple of scenes where he was believably blind. But his blind man mannerisms were overpowered by him just seeing. This guy can see. An interesting theory I did find online is Eli could actually see the whole time, and the only reason why he had the mannerisms of a blind person is because before he found the Bible. Oh yeah, so a big plot point in this movie is Eli is traveling with the Bible in his possession. The whole reason why Eli is going west is because he needs to deliver it somewhere. Before the nukes dropped, oh yeah, nukes dropped by the way, but before the nukes dropped during the Great War, for some reason people turned on all religions and decided to destroy every Bible. This all happened while Eli was blind. After the nukes dropped, God told Eli where to find the lost Bible. So when Eli found the lost Bible, God gave him sight and basically told him to take the good book west. Cool. The only issue I have with this theory is the events of this movie take place 30 years after the Great War. Eli, when we first joined him, had been walking for 3 decades. At some point, he should have gotten used to being able to. Uh, and now a quick word from our sponsors. I don't have sponsors. Please like the video.